So it's great, but on the other hand, it's not so good. And then when it's not so good, that we really want to be of. And the concept that we want to think about comes from John Dryden. John Dryden was a poet around the 1600s, very well known for the Restoration period. Nerd! Anyway, this quote came from him. He says, "We first make our habits, and then our habits makes us." And this is where it really matters, because our habits become something that becomes difficult to change. It makes us. Yeah? And some of the habits that we create in our lives aren't very helpful for us. I'm an angry man. If you do this, I'm going to get angry, because that's how I am. That's how I react to that event. And I find it hard to change because I'm an angry man. So we even label ourselves that, and we label ourselves based on the habit that we are. Does that make sense? Has anyone experienced something like that? Where it is something that you've seen, whether not necessarily in yourself, but in others. Nate? Yeah. Did you put your hand up because you were going to tell me something, or?
No, that's just agreeing for you.
Okay. You don't want to share? No? Okay, cool. No worries.
Yeah.
Anyone want to?
I agree with. Yeah. Example. Many.
Give me one example.
No, I couldn't pin them down.
I'll give you an example of mine. One of my examples is I'm slow to anger, but when I get angry, it is a bad thing, and I find it one of the most challenging in my life to break out of. There's a trigger, there's a point where if we're interacting, and my wife knows this quite well, there's a point where we're interacting where I feel like you're not listening to me, all right? That's my trigger. And my habit is to explode. I see this, and at the explosion, I'm not seeing it, but after the explosion, I'm regretting it, and I know I've caused an emotional wake and disturbance. And I hate it. I hate myself for it, and I feel really bad, and I can't face anyone when I do it. But I find it so difficult to change. It is working because I'm fully aware as I'm doing so. It is working for me, but it's one of the examples that I have. And it is something that, like I said, it is often difficult to change, because a lot of the times we can't even see that it's a habit we've created. Smoking is easy because we can see it, yeah? But there's other stuff that we programmed in us that we find difficult to see and change. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're in agreement with me there? And the other thing that automaticity is that it is unconscious. And like I said, more often than not, we're not even in the moment. Like we talked about getting to work. When we get on the bus or we drive, a lot of the time, you know, we get in, we're at work. So we're not actually in the moment of the driving or any of that stuff. Sometimes even at work, when we're doing things that seem to be repetitive, we're just processing stuff. And we're not even seeing what the outcome is. So there's no awareness of whether we're doing it right or we're doing it, you know, you could do it better. So there's none of that as well. So it is something that, you know, that automaticity can have a disadvantage for.